Hare Krishna, good morning, and thank you for joining us to Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jayo Giravardhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jayo Giravardhari. Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirnasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutle Swam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitam Samsajim Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vichakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatu Brihascha Kirpa Sindhu Bevacha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo 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 Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmade Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Garim Yat Kirpatam Vande Shri Gundin Taranam Paramananda Madam Shri Chaitanya Ishram Hariyam Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jemaduriyat Nashta Parasho Dureshu Nitam Bhavasya Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. Okay, right, so chapter 17. Last week, I suppose it was last week, on Friday, we were talking about, Krishna was saying, look, just surrender to me. This is what Krishna says, because there's so much clutter, there's so many different philosophies, different schools of thought, so just surrender to me. And Maharaj Parikshit, he was trying to identify the perpetrator who has caused harm to the religion, personality of religion and personality of the earth in the form of cow and bull. But the bull, he was speaking, and he was saying that how how can we judge who is to blame? Because it's, our karmic reactions are also involved, and there are so many people involved in how we behave in this world, our upbringing, who has influenced us, because they say it takes a whole village to bring up a child, for example. So there's so many people involved in our upbringing. There's so many people who have influenced us. So who's to say that now who is actually to blame for what's happened to us? Or maybe we did something because we were influenced by something, or given wrong instructions or wrong advice. So who is to say who's the perpetrator? And we're also talking about the material energy, how it deludes us. That's the other thing. Alongside the whole village, there's the material energy that also can cause us doubts as well. So, there's so many forces acting upon us, and so who knows what the real reason is for our, we get harmed, or, for our reactions. What is the real reason? Who knows? So we shall continue. Verse 24. Tapha shocham daya satyam iti padha krite kritaha atarma mashestreo bhagnaha smeya sangamate tava. So tapha, austerity; shocham, cleanliness; daya, mercy; satyam, truthfulness; iti, thus; padaha, legs; krite, in the age of satya; kritha, established; adharma, irreligiosity; amshahi, by the parts; treha, three combined; bhagnaha, broken; smaya, pride; sangha, too much association with women; madhi, intoxication; tav, yo. So in the age of satya, truthfulness, your four legs are established by the four principles of austerity: cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that three of your legs are broken due to rampant religion in the form of pride, lust for women, and intoxication. So the deluding energy or material nature can act upon the living beings proportionately in terms of living beings falling prey to the deluding attraction of Maya. Moths are captivated by the glaring brightness of light, and thus they become prey to the fire. Similarly, the deluding energy is always captivating the conditioned souls to become prey to the fire of delusion, and the Vedic scriptures warn the conditioned souls not to become prey to delusion, but to get rid of it. The Vedas warn us to go not to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. The Lord himself also warns that the deluding power of material energy is too powerful to overcome. So, if we think we can overcome it, we're very strong mentally, physically, very strong, we can, nothing can touch us, but that is not the case. Even like, people sometimes they think, we can take drugs, just test drugs, like heroin, for example, and we are very strong. We know it's wrong to do it, so we just test it, and then we can always leave it. Sometimes they want to prove to their partner that they might be on drugs. They want to prove to them, look, it's easy to give this up. Look, I can take it and give it up. But they find that these drugs will take over your mind, your body, your biological system, and there's only one way. There's no way to come back like that. So they become addicted as well. So saying that material energy is too powerful because it takes over our mind, our intelligence, our biological system. It knows our weaknesses. It's only one way. We need to be rehabilitated, and that is from spiritual life. With spiritual life only can give us freedom from material energy. We cannot do it ourselves because it's taken over all our willpower. But one who can completely surrenders unto the Lord can easily do so. But to surrender unto the Lord's feet of the Lord is also not very easy. So it's a difficult task in both ways. Because because Maya is pulling you. So how do you go towards the Lord? It's an uphill struggle, right? It's trying to climb a very steep hill where the gravity is pulling you back. Okay. Such surrender is possible by persons of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So first of all, we have to become disciplined, get in the mode of goodness. Then at least there's less forces that are pulling you down. These four principles of advanced civilizations were remarkable features in the age of Satya. In that age, every human being was practically a qualified Brahmana of the highest order, and in the social order of life, they were all Paramahansas, or the topmost in the renounced order. Yeah, it's hard to imagine every human being was practically a qualified Brahmana of the highest order, or the topmost of the renounced order. By cultural standing, the human beings were not at all subjected to the deluding energy. Such strong men of character were competent enough to get away from the clutches of Maya. So the Maya is there. You will not. If you are strong, if you shield it, then it cannot attack you. You need to be shielded. Such strong men of character were competent enough to get away from the clutches of Maya, but gradually, as the basic principles of Brahmanical culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, became curtailed by proportionate development of pride, attachment for women, and intoxication, the path of salvation or the path of transcendental bliss retreated far, far away from human society. With the progression of the age of Kali, people are becoming very proud and attached to women and intoxication. By the influence of the age of Kali, even a pauper is proud of his penny. The women are always dressed in an overly attractive fashion to victimize the minds of men, and the man is addicted to drinking wine, smoking, drinking tea, and chewing tobacco, etc. All these habits, or so-called advancement of civilization, are the root causes of all irreligiosities, and therefore it is not possible to check corruption, bribery, and nepotism. Man cannot check all these evils simply by statutory acts and police vigilance, but he can cure the disease of the mind by the proper medicine, namely advocating the principles of Brahmanical culture, of the principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So that is the key, that is the beginning, that is the light to the tunnel. If you can see that, if you can do something about that, that's your foundation to start building. Modern civilization, and we would have never, we would never understood that, had not Srila Prabhupada told us that these are the four key things, the four pillars of sin. Modern civilization and economic development are creating a new situation of poverty and scarcity with the result of blackmailing the consumer's commodities. If the leaders and the rich men of society spend 50% of the accumulated wealth mercifully for the misled mass of people and educate them in God consciousness, the knowledge of Bhagavatam, certainly the age of Kali will be defeated in its attempt to entrap the conditioned souls. We must always remember that false pride or too high an estimation of one's own values of life, undue attachment to women or association with them, and intoxication will divert human civilization from the path of peace. However much the people clamor for peace in the world, the preaching of Bhagavatam principles will automatically render all men austere clean both inside and outside, merciful to the suffering, and truthful in daily behavior. That is the way of correcting the flaws of human society, which are very prominently exhibited at the present moment. So, following the four regulations and hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so the preaching of Bhagavatam principles will automatically render all men austere. So just by even hearing Bhagavatam, because hearing is the first thing, Shravanam Kirtanam. So hearing is the first thing. Why is hearing so important? It's not just hearing that's important, because we hear to Bollywood songs, Hollywood, like that, Western songs, and other things. We hear them. So is that okay? No. It's hearing Krishna Katha, hearing from scriptures, because those other mundane things don't have the potency. So it's not just hearing, it's what you hear. When you hear things of potency, they go directly to your heart and clean it. Right? There's a potency there, purification. So it's hearing things with potency. That's the important thing. And all these pastimes of Krishna, chanting the Mahamantra and hearing Bhagavatam, they will have potency when we hear. Excuse me. So these four principles of what we discussed, four regulations, are the key to freedom. And it's mentioned that the four regulatory principles that we follow, that's so important, they're for our own benefit, help in reversing the influence of Kali Yuga. So it's like a rehab. It's reversing the effects of the impurity that's been developed birth after birth. Idanim dharm padaste satyam nirvatet yatha tam jigrikshati adharmoyam anartane dita kalhi. So Adinim, at the present moment, dharma, personal religion, padaha, leg, te of you, satyam, truthfulness, nirvatayet, hobbling along somehow or other, yatha, whereby, tam, that, jigrakshati, trying to destroy adharma, the personal religion, I am this, anartena, by deceit, editaha, flourishing, kalhi, quarrel personified. So you are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness, and you are somehow or other hobbling along, but quarrel personified, Kali, flourishing by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg as well. So then dharma will be completely destroyed, will be immobile. The principles of religion do not stand on some dogmas or man-made formulas, but they stand on four primary active observances: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The mass of people must be taught to practice these principles from childhood. Austerity means to accept voluntarily things which may not be comfortable for the body but are conducive for spiritual realization. For example, fasting twice or 4 times a month is a sort of austerity which may be voluntarily accepted for spiritual realization only, and not for any other purposes, for political or otherwise. Fastings which are meant for not for self-realization but for some other purposes are condemned in the Bhagavad-Gita. Similarly, cleanliness is necessary both for the mind and the body. Simply, bodily cleanliness may help to some extent, but cleanliness of the mind is necessary, and it is affected by glorifying the Supreme Lord. No one can cleanse the accumulated mental dust without glorifying the Supreme Lord. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is all about glorification of the Lord. That's why it's so important, and so much importance is given. A godless civilization cannot cleanse the mind because it has no idea of God. And for this simple reason, people under such a civilization cannot have good qualifications. However, they may be materially equipped. We have to see things by the resultant action. The resultant action of human civilization in the age of Kali is dissatisfaction. So everyone is anxious to get peace of mind. This peace of mind was complete in the Satya age because of the existence of the above mentioned attributes of the human beings. Gradually, these attributes have diminished in the Treta Yuga to 3/4, in Dwapar to half, and in the age of Kali to 1/4, which is also gradually diminishing on account of prevailing untruthfulness. By pride, either artificial or real, the resultant action of austerity is spoiled. By too much affection for female association, cleanliness is spoiled. By too much addiction to intoxication, mercy is spoiled. And by too much lying, propaganda, truthfulness is spoiled. The revival of Bhagavat Dharma can save human civilization from praying to evils of all descriptions. So this is 25. So Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing on the 4 regulations and how important it is to follow those 4 regulations. And then sometimes people follow them, and then we find out now they're no longer following them, and that's called a fall down. If you have promised not to take intoxication and tea with caffeine, tea and coffee with caffeine, and you start eating meat as well, or you're associating with the other females other than your wife, so like that. So that considered a fall down from the 4 regulations. Iyam cha bhumi bhagavata nyasito rubara sati Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam nyasahi sarvatha krit kaustuka. So iyam, this cha, and bhumi, surface of the earth, bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead, anyasita, being performed personally as well as by others, uru, great, bara, burden, sati, being so done, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, by the all auspicious, that pad, nyasahi, footprints, sarvata, all around, krita, done, kotuka, good fortune. So the burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well, when he was present as an incarnation. All good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. So that's 26. So he says, knowledge of the Bhagavatam is of paramount. Sorry, that'll be the next one. Okay, so we just carry on 27. So Shochati Ashru Kala Sadhavi Durbhage Vojita Sati Abrahmanya Nirpa Vyajaha Shudra Bhokshanti Mam Iti. So Shochati, lamenting, Ashru Kala, with tears in eyes, Sadhavi, the chaste, Durbhaga, as if the most unfortunate, Eve like, Ujita, forlorn, Sati, being so done, Abramanyaha, devoid of Brahmanical culture, Nirpa, Vyajaha, posed as a ruler, Shudraha, lower class, Bhokshanti, would enjoy, Mam me ititas. So now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes, for now she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. So the Kshatriya, or the man who is qualified to protect the sufferers, is meant to rule the state. Untrained lower class men or men without ambition to protect the sufferers cannot be placed on the seat of an administrator. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the lower class men without training occupy the post of a ruler by strength of popular votes. And instead of protecting the sufferers, such men create a situation quite intolerable for everyone. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens, and thus the chaste Mother Earth cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. That is the future of the world in the age of Kali, where religiosity prevails most prominently, and in the absence of a suitable king to curb religious tendencies. Educating the people systematically in the teaching of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, etc. Yeah, so I was going to say that knowledge of the Bhagavatam is of paramount importance. It's mentioned. It can cause revolution, which will purify the consciousness and remove all things of Kali Yuga. Because, Kali Yuga is, the Kali is dominant, and there's nothing more dangerous than the influence of Kali on somebody, who's got the hand on the button, or who's got a gun in his hand. Giving like that, in that situation, it's a very dangerous situation, right? So Kali is not biased that I'm only going to touch people or Shudra, or people who are doing this kind of job or that kind of job. It can affect everyone, even the Brahmanas. It can affect if they're not careful. Nobody's safe. You have to be protected, and so the leaders, if they're influenced, dominated by Kali, then it's a very dangerous situation for the country, for the whole of civilization, for the whole of the world. It's dangerous. So it's very important that the right people are put into administration or in the leading roles. Very important. And we'll just do finally 28. Iti dharmam mahim chaiva santve yitva maharataha nishatam adade khadkam kalye dharm hetave. So iti thus dharmam, the personal religion, mahim, the earth, cha also, eva, as, santavya yitva, after pacifying, maharataha, the general who could fight alone with thousands of enemies, nishatam, sharp, they took up, khadgam, sword, kale, to kill the personified Kali, a dharma, religion, hetave, the root cause. So Maharaj Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of God, religion and the earth. Thus he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all religion. So he knew who the culprit is. He just wanted to hear it from Dharma. So Maharaj Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of religion and the earth. Then took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all irreligion. So as described above, the personality of Kali is he who deliberately commits all kinds of sinful acts which are forbidden in the revealed scriptures. This age of Kali will certainly be full of activities of Kali, but this does not mean that the leaders of society, the executive heads, learned and intelligent men, or above all, the devotees of the Lord, should sit down tightly and become callous to the reactions of the age of Kali. In the rainy season, certainly there will be profuse animals, but that does not mean that men should not take means to protect themselves from the rains. It's the duty of the executive heads of state and others to take all necessary action against the activities of Kali or the persons influenced by the age of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit is the ideal executive head of the state, for at once he was ready to kill the personality of Kali with his sharp sword. The administrators should not simply pass resolutions for anti-corruptional steps, but they must be ready with the sharp swords to kill the persons creating corruptions from the angle of vision of the recognized Shastras. The administrators cannot prevent corrupt activities by allowing wine shops. They must at once close all shops of intoxicating drugs and wine and force punishment, even by death, for those who indulge in habits of intoxication of all description. That is the way of stopping the activities of Kali, as exhibited herein by Maharaj Parikshit, the Maharatha. Actually, Srila Prabhupada is talking about drug shops and intoxications, liquor stores, wine shops. But if you see now on the high street, I mean, there's some the MPs are lobbying against so many vape. These vape smoking shops are there now. They're like, one side you get these barber shops up opening everywhere, and then you got the vape shops opening everywhere, and this just seems very suspicious. The government is looking into what's going on here. And then you have all these bingos, they're everywhere in the high street. This is the only kind of stores, you see. There's casinos opening, betting shops, especially rundown areas where people don't have money. They have betting shops because people want to change their destiny by, betting
instantly,
and trying, thinking if I spend £10, I might get £1,000 back or something like that. So it's from Srila Prabhupada's time to now, things actually have gone worse, right? And we're talking about 50, 60 years. Things are even worse now. And because nobody has really taken strong steps to alleviate this issue, and it's just getting more rampant and rampant. So it's mentioned that Dharma responded in very Krishna conscious way. Parikshit, also being a devotee, responded in a favorable way. Kali had not killed the bull, but still Maharaj Parikshit was ready to administer death sentence to Kali. So the Kali was, his legs were there, 3 legs, and he was beaten up by Kali, but he was not killed as yet. This is religious principles. If you commit harm to someone and the penalty was death, you should think twice before committing an offense. And it also says that as devotees, we have a great responsibility to fight Kali. Yeah, so as you mentioned before, that we preach to people, we give them Srila Prabhupada's books so they can understand the philosophy, tell them about chanting, and we also take association of devotees because together we are stronger. So we protect ourselves by taking association, and we help others by preaching as well. So we help ourselves and we help other people. Thank you so much, and let's see where we go with this. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, Pundikaksh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanas Pranam.
Dhanas Prabhu.
Again, my mind was here and there today, sorry Prabhuji, but a few points. Without self-purification, we cannot come to the path of bhakti. So, Srila Prabhupada nicely organized Iskcon by giving the 4 regulative principles. It helps us to purify ourselves. Before coming to path of bhakti, first at least we have to come to the path of mode of goodness at least. And Srila Prabhupada once asked, this is not directly related, but Srila Prabhupada once asked that what if you know that there is no Lord and you have spent all your time without actually any enjoyment? And Prabhupada said, who said we don't have any enjoyment? We eat proper food, we do kirtan, we do meet, associate with good people and everything. So when you follow this process, one get into spirituality, but if that is not the motivation, at least one's life will be purified 100% if you follow these regulative principles. And even when you stop eating onion, garlic, it may reduce definitely some certain type of diseases which you come across at the old age. That's what I felt, Prabhuji. And the last point you said, like, think twice before committing a mistake. That's really good. Even we don't realize also that we are committing a mistake. So that's why Srila Rupa Goswami said, like, 6 loving exchanges where we have one friend with whom you can share openly and take their advice. So it's always good to have one person with whom you can share, and who is a genuine person, and who is not going to leak your information to other people. Rather, it just try to help you. So think twice is really good, but again, we need to have that kind of association with whom you can share and take the opinion before we do any mistake. Because once you do a mistake, you have to face the reaction. There is no other way. At least material nature will make sure that you face the consequences of your mistakes. And one more point, Prabhuji, I always try to struggle to understand this sloka, prakriti krimanani gunakarmani sarvasaha. So where Prakriti is a doer, you're not the doer. So once Vrindavan Das Prabhuji, when he gave the class, no, I asked him this question and he said, it doesn't mean that you're not the doer, but you're not the lone doer. You have Adidevik, Adibhautik, Adhyatmik. So if the desire is not correct, then Maya will enforce you to have complete your desire. And without the Lord's permission, nothing will happen. But if that is your desire, then Lord also mentioned that you will be cast to the lowest species of life as well. So that's all, Prabhuji. To cultivate good desires, cultivate all good habits also first. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, we're not the only doers. Even Lord Brahma, in his prayers to the Lord, even he mentioned he was, this Brahma, he was not puffed up because he realized that I'm not the only doer. There's 5 doers, as explained in chapter 18. So that way you don't get puffed up by your abilities, by your qualities, because you're not the only one doing. The other host is helping you and then sanctioned by the Lord finally. And but also says in Bhagavatam that we all have been Brahmas, but we got puffed up, and that's why because it's very easy to get in the mode of Rajasic mode. So from that, so we sort of start falling down from then on, and most we all have been Brahmas at one
Yeah.
point, but we could not sustain it. Yeah, so it's very important to remember that we are not the only doers. Very, very important.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Kiram, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Beautiful, lovely verses. I think ultimately it teaches us that chanting and prayer, asking Lord, lead me from darkness to light, from mortality to immortality, from the unreal of the material world to the real of the spiritual world, is the journey we should be embarking upon. And we want to rise to the light of divinity rather than be forced down by the gravitational pull of Maya. And that is hard because gravity is a powerful mic force and it keeps us down. But we have to therefore be strong-willed, strong-minded, control those senses, be engaged in austerity, be clean, be merciful, and follow those 4 regulatory principles. Because those were the things that Prabhupada has taught us, those are the pillars. And those are the pillars, if you break them, the legs, those are the pillars of sin. And no wonder there is the degradation of society because the pillars are detached, demolished, you name it. You go down the high street, every other shop is selling a vice, a sin. And even the supermarkets, there's lots of sins in the food that we are trying to put in our bodies. because we don't know what additives are in there. And hence we have to be truth-driven by knowing what's in the things that we are taking in our systems. So yeah, listen to the kathas here, because Shravanam Kirtanam is the way to reverse the impact of the Kali Yuga. And the reduction of life has happened. 3/4, quarter, half, you name it, the yugas clearly demonstrate hundreds and thousands of years you could live for. You now just about barely get through 70 years and 10. And who knows what diseases we will pick up as we go through life, because they're not just a disease of the body, but they're also the disease of the mind. And we're not surprised, because we have very unclean, low-class type of leaders who take us to war at the whim of a hat. Intolerable, corrupt, duplicitous people. And this is more and more the reason why we should follow the example of Bhishma, Parikshit, Yudhishthira, Arjuna. These are those who are teaching us to keep away from wine, women, and song. But the song we should listen to is the Kirtans. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that we tend to think we are the controllers. We definitely think we are the proprietors, and we also think we are the controllers. And Srila Prabhupada says that if we were the controllers, we don't want to get disease, but we get disease. We don't want to die, but we die, right? We don't want to get old, we get old. So how can we claim to be the controllers? We don't have control over anything, right? Like I was saying before, we're going to have control over our bladder sometimes. We don't have any control. We have very, very limited control over things, but yet we think we are the proprietors and the controllers and the enjoyers. We want to enjoy, but we don't have the capacity to enjoy. We can enjoy something for a few hours, we can enjoy something for a few days, and then we get bored. We need to change, we need to rest our body. Our body is not capable of enjoyment, but yet we think we in everything's made for us. Thank you, Prabhu. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji, let me go to Hina Mataji, just in case she needs to go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Just a few additional points. I think everybody's covered off the key things. But some thoughts I had was around points around seeing the light or turning towards the light of knowledge, which is such a blessing, and it requires so much mercy as well. Most entities in general are in complete ignorance, life after life. They're oblivious to our true purpose. The knowledge of Krishna or God doesn't even exist at all. And this is the road to freedom. It's like someone giving us the keys to the doors of a caged prison that we're living in. That's what you can compare the illusion of living in this material world, essentially. But when somebody gives us that light, that knowledge, that doorway, it could be a book through a distributor on the street, for example, that's the light. That's a little bit of mercy. And also covered off in the verses where were around how the elevation starts almost when we come to the platform of sattva, the platform of goodness. As I think all the devotees have already talked about, the four regs, following the four regs, which brings us to the human platform, essentially. Otherwise, there's no difference to animals, between us and animals, if we can't even maintain the four regulative principles. And that's the basis where bhakti can be performed from that starting position. and I think some people do deem, like I say, the external world may deem the 4 regulations as restrictive or conservative, but it's actually freedom. It's actually what frees us in actuality. It's what frees us from, it helps to free us from the bonds of material life. So they're very important. That was it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this mode of goodness, as you mentioned, the prison, being released from prison, somebody opens the prison doors for us, and the mode of goodness we find that the prison door has opened. We're just standing on the doorway, right? So that's just like this being in the mode of goodness or following the 4 regulations. We're still on the door, the door's open, we're standing there, but we're still like in the prison. So really, then we start bhakti to start moving out, towards our home, back to Godhead. Other example is like the airport. One man may not even bother getting out of bed. He needs to go to the airport to catch a plane. The other man, he gets ready, goes to the airport, and then doesn't catch the plane. So the mode of goodness is like that. You made your way, you made the effort to go to the airport, but you never caught the flight. So mode of goodness, but you need to go to the airport if you're going to catch the flight. So mode of goodness is like that. You follow the regulations. You got there to catch the flight, and then you got to do bhakti, right? You got to do Shravan Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. You got to do all that, and then you start making a pathway back to Godhead. So, but as Srila Prabhupada explains that you need to follow those 4 regulations to at least make the start. That's it. You need to initiate that process. So it's very important to get to the airport of bhakti. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. Sorry, Mataji. Pravi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah. Yeah, so we're saying, what is happening now, everything is so fallen now. Like you said, like people are thinking they're the proprietors or controllers, but in some cases, people even think they're the Lord themselves. So, not they're the enjoyers, but they think they're everything. So they are the doers. And God, they only remember when they want to place any orders, then they remember, yes, can we have this and that? Otherwise, they are the doers, they're doing everything themselves. And these verses again, highlights the power of this material energy and how we have to shield ourselves by the process of devotional service. And again, we are so fortunate what we've been given. So we have to make our endeavors. And also about the topmost charity. What is the topmost charity is to give Krishna consciousness, and how somebody who has got the money, they should spend the money in spreading Krishna consciousness, give you 50%. So, yeah, so I think that is the biggest compassion as well, to have compassion for others and help others. And again, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is glorified, how Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the only solution to have peace and to get rid of all this anxiety. But it seems very difficult, people are so polluted now, from the very young age, the brains, what we're seeing now. I don't think we've seen anything really what is happening, like with the young children as well. The vocabulary they have, it's just beyond us. So it is very, very scary, but all we can do is surrender to the Lord, follow the 4 regulative principles that we've been given, and spread Krishna consciousness as much as we can. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is loaded with the potency, mercy of Narada Muni, who advised Vyasadeva, and then it's like all the potency went into there. Thank you, Mataji. Ajay Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. It's amazing how clear Maya is really in terms of when you least expect it, it can influence you. It's not even like some grand way where you kind of become illusion, but it can when you just get comfortable, you can just get suddenly find yourself dragged away from bhakti as such. It's happened in many cases. It's like famous would be, so like Ajama, for example. He just as a as a young boy, he saw two shooter couple being intimately embracing, and that influenced him later on in life. So it's just that impressions there that can kick in, and then if you aren't focused or if you push too hard, flip side, if you aren't, instead of actually doing a bhakti in a way that is conducive to you, doing things that are you're trying to do the right thing, but sometimes you can push yourself too hard to the point where you start breaking. Then again, Maya can kick in as well because it senses the weak, senses that you're not doing a bhakti to the service of the Lord. You're finding it difficult. Well, that's why it is important that we have all the various checks that have been put in place, whether associating with the devotees, who can help you if you are struggling, or if chanting the holy name, the obvious one. If you are finding yourself slightly disturbed, just start chanting. That is always very helpful. It's these things here there that there's test is over there because that's the whole point, that you have to be tested. And so there's element of mercy there, but by the same token, it's like say when Nard Muni met Dhruv Maharaj, he tested him. He didn't just tell him what to do straight away. Wanted to make sure that he actually was genuinely sincere and actually trying to get darshan of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to, he was actually serious about pushing on with his devotional service. And that's the thing, we have to, if we are serious about our bhakti, even if we are struggling or Maya is influencing us, for example, if we are criticizing the devotees, that's always a dangerous one. Then we have that shelter that the Lord will give us intelligence to actually realize that we should be doing what we're doing, to stop and either figure out what's going wrong, why are we doing this, or maybe just just take a slight breather or something, because it is easy to get, especially when you are involved in services as well. It's a good thing to be involved in services, but sometimes you can push yourself beyond your own limits. Your intentions are good, yet you're maybe not ready for it yet. So sometimes just a case of just you want to advance, but you have to actually understand where you're at the moment. Maybe not ready to see the intensity of what the bhakti is. So step up in level each time around. And so that's that element where you've got to figure out what's holding you back. What are your anarthas? What are your faults? What is stopping you from going past your current limit? It can be frustrating because you want to, everybody would love to have darshan of, like if Krishna give you darshan, that'd be like the ultimate success in life, but it doesn't come straight away. There is, Prabhupada, Prabhupada's classic example where, we understand him as a Shakti Vishwamtar. He's so important for all of us. Yet he spent decades perfecting his bhakti. We shouldn't get frustrated if things aren't necessarily going straight. Things aren't happening the way you want to happen. These things take time. You need to strengthen yourself. It's important that you don't give up on it. That's the biggest thing. That happens to some devotees, especially after the first year. The first year is all blissful and everything. Then they give up on it, and then you wonder, say, okay, it's no loss and diminution in the sense that you've always, doing any bhakti is positive. Yeah, if you were doing so well and you gave up on it, what happened? Oh, some devotee said something nasty to me, or I'm not getting the service I want. It's this petty things here and there that can, wreck what's still a beautiful thing. That's always going to be wary of that. Just remember that things will happen that aren't always nice. Take it as a benediction of Krishna that, you are purifying yourself from your previous sins. And now you can push on, you can actually get further in your bhakti. It is, so many of the great devotees have suffered so much, but they actually see it as, they understand they are under the shelter of Krishna. They don't see it as a negative thing. They say, okay, I'm pushing on, Krishna's giving what I need. And that's how we need to approach it. We need to understand Krishna's putting us in the position that we need to be in to advance. And if we can see that in our bhakti, it's always good to analyze short term and long term. if you're pushing forward, then okay, that's good. Then maybe you need to suffer a bit. Obviously, don't want to suffer too much. This is intolerable. But it's not a bad thing. You need to just always keep mind in check whenever things do go wrong. Am I pushing forward or bhakti? If you are, then just keep going. Don't get discouraged. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is why it's very important, if you're serious about bhakti, to keep checking on the 9 processes, or 9 stages, I would say in this case, 9 stages of bhakti from Shraddha to Prem. We need to reflect on these. So where are we really? Are we just on Shraddha, Bhajan Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti? Most of us are on Anartha Nivritti. It's a very long process. What are chances of getting to Nishtha, Ruchi? When you're getting big taste, a lot of taste in your bhakti, then your anarthas are diminishing, right? Do you have great attachment? Are we in bhav? Are we in prem? Like that. So we have to keep an eye on what level we have reached. We have to keep looking back that which level we are on, because we can't become complacent otherwise and just stay on that level, and because we're not thinking about it. You have to be self-conscious of where your bhakti lies, where you are. If we are in Artha Nivriti, how can I speed up the process like that? So thank you so much, Radharani.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, we all have to fly our own plane, as Srila Prabhupada said very clearly, and he reminds beautifully time and time again in his purports. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has everything, and Srila Prabhupada has done us such a big favor, not just to us as the members of Iskcon, but rather to the whole world, that whoever listens to Srila Prabhupada's one line in a lecture or reads one line in his books, in his purports, understands everything so clearly. But we have to do the hard work, I'm afraid, and nobody else is going to do for you. You should have compassion for the whole world, for everyone, but don't forget your own position, because if you fail yourselves, you'll have to come back. You'll have to start from, wherever you left it. So if you will be a good devotee, if you'll try to be a good devotee following the footsteps of the previous Acharyas, then there is a big possibility that there will be few people who will try to imbibe your qualities, and that will be a very big service. This is how I think in this day and age. You can speak volumes and volumes, you can do this, you can do that, but end of the day, what people see, how you're behaving, your actions, they speak louder. This is what is the need of the hour. And these verses clearly tell us that the lost qualities of the lost qualities of dharma, the 3 legs which are lost, they can only be revived in this Kali Yuga through devotional service, and there's no other means to revive those qualities. And Kali is the last leg of Kali, that is also being destroyed by deceit. Deceit is rampant. This is what people like. Everybody's looking for shortcuts. People have Kali Yuga has got everything in short, and plus people on top of that, people are looking for shortcuts. So that is not heartening. And if we are complaining that this is bad, as we will read more and more about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we will realize that how much more bad is it there in store of Kali's treasure houses for the generations to come. And my sincere praise that Krishna, let us not come back. Let us not be the future generations of Kali. Let us be guided by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that we don't have to repeat the miseries which we have been repeating life after life. And especially in the Kali, we don't want to be born again unless Srila Prabhupada desires us to do some special service for him, for Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, fine. So thank you so much, and we'll catch up again on Wednesday.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki
Ki jai,
jai,
Srila
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Go.
Premanande Hari Hari.
Hare Hare Bol.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.